The House will now proceed to consideration of general business notices of motion or orders of the day not being bills. The clerk will read the first item of business.
Number 1959, cost of living pressures.
I call the member for Castle Hill.
Speaker, I move that this House today calls on the government to provide additional cost of living support to assist families who continue to suffer hardship due to increased cost of living. 2, notes the failure of this government to help families and business suffering from the rising cost of living pressures. And 3, condemns the government for its lack of support to reduce the pressures on the household budget. Speaker, the failure by the Minns government to address the cost of living pressures which impact society have been addressed on many occasions in this House. It is because of the continual failure by those opposite to address the cost of living that we've had to bring this motion, in the hope that members of the government will finally understand that our communities are suffering. The SEC Newgate's most recent Mood of the Nation report, September 2024, reported that 41% of Australians are experiencing financial difficulty in paying bills and covering basic expenses. That's 41% of people suffering, Speaker. It is the hope of my community, and perhaps all communities, that by bringing in this motion, government will understand and take some action. Communities are suffering because of anxiety and depression arising from the financial mismanagement of the Minns and the Albanese governments. The media throughout the term of the Minns government has commented on numerous occasions about the cost of living pressures facing our community. There is little doubt the media has hoped the government would listen and take action. Sadly, government has not been listening. If the government understood the issues, government would have taken action to reinstate some of the wonderful cost of living measures introduced by the former government, such as active kids, creative kids, first lap, school vouchers, etc. Speaker, it has now been 18 months since the Minns government was elected. Over the past 18 months, the policies of the Minns and Albanese governments have resulted in price rises to basic cost of livings. Food and non-alcoholic beverages up 5.8%. Alcohol 9.81%. Housing 7.35%. Health costs up 5.1%. Education costs up 6.35%. Financial insurance costs are up 9.93%. And Speaker, that is prior to the most recent Health Insurance Levies Amendment Bill, which will no doubt increase the cost of financial insurance costs by much more. The Daily Telegraph on the 5th of March 2024 spoke about the cost of even school canteens, and they reported an analysis of 20 schools across Sydney and regional New South Wales show prices rise between 10 and 50% for our school children. This is caused by the Minns government. The most expensive meat pies are found in North Kellyville. I understand the member for Kellyville might be coming down here later, when he might be able to talk about how the cost of pies in his electorate have been increased. Speaker, one of the interesting things about school canteens is that there's a record privatisation of school canteens. Over 500 public schools are now being operated by independent contractors who have been privatised. This government says it doesn't like privatisation, but yet it's allowing school canteens to be privatised at record levels, and the communities are suffering. Yes, the communities are suffering a significant amount. The Daily Telegraph, 6th of November, more recently reported what planet are they on, presumably talking about the Minns government, with families bearing the brunt of soaring bills and groceries. Fairfield single mum, for instance, Norma Lopez Perez says she's under great financial pressure than ever before. She says every single item has been increasing in price and obviously has been putting a lot of pressure on people like her. We also see, as I said, health insurance. Private Healthcare Australia CEO recently reported on the 24th of October 2024 in a media release, speaking about the government's Health Levies Amendment Bill. He said the policy is a kick in the teeth for millions of people who are contributing their own health care in a cost of living crisis. He then went on to say the government's unwillingness to engage with amendments which were proposed by the opposition show the tax is all about raising money for people in health insurance, for general revenue, and to fix the government's black hole. Small businesses are also hurting very much. There's a record number of small businesses who are in fact going bust. One of the problems with small businesses facing our community is red tape. Speaker, this morning the Minister for Small Business made a comment during question time. Most of his comments were indecipherable, but one of the comments he actually made was he said what the business community wants is a cut through red tape. Well, of course that's right, Mr Speaker, that costs money, red tape compliance. Well, let me say this, the Small Business Conditions Service Survey 2024 reported that 82% of small business owners said the red tape is having a major or moderate impact on their business. 50% of respondents to that survey said they were spending more time on red tape than 12 months ago. So what is it the Minister for Small Business is doing? Obviously nothing. He knows businesses need to have red tape sorted out, but he's obviously doing nothing because businesses are telling him that they're doing more than the last 12 months. You know, the coalition, prior to the last election, one of our commitments was to appoint a small business commissioner to slash red tape, and we would have done that. Perhaps that's something that the Minns government might want to have a look at that policy and help small businesses rather than hinder them. The bottom line, Speaker, is that this government is doing precious little to help our community. They are failing our community, rising costs of living, rising expenses, and you're doing absolutely nothing to help them, and you should actually be ashamed of yourselves and introduce some policies which will actually help our community. Perhaps they might want to have a look at some of the policies that we had, such as Active Kids, Creative Kids, First Lap, and help those communities. We're actually moving into a Christmas period, Speaker, and the families are hurting. Many families won't be able to spend money on the normal Christmas goods, Christmas dinners, because of you. You know, you're not helping our communities, and I can assure you at the next election, the communities will actually punish you on the ballot boxes. And I know that's right from my community. They're telling me that every single day of the week. So, Speaker, I ask members to support this motion and send a message to a bad government, the Minns government, and let them know that they cannot continue to behave in the way they have been behaving. Thank you, Speaker.
Question is